Plus, Bruce Miller also explains why this is the most romantic Nick and June season ever. The Handmaid's Tale is the inevitable end of season 5, and the showrunner where everyone is going from here. Warning: spoilers from The Handmaid's Tale season 5 finale. Do you have diapers? Season 5 of The Handmaid's Tale ends with these seemingly benign but ultimately loaded words. Sung by a shocked and possibly relieved Serena Joy to a similarly shocked and decidedly bewildered June, the episode ends on a train leading to an uncertain future where two women and their babies leave Canada behind. Go West. The series has already been renewed for a 6th and final season, and probably before that, almost every aspect of this episode saw all the characters in similar crisis or at a crossroads. The last time we see Janine, who makes the nice mistake of replacing the new Mrs. Lawrence, she is kidnapped by the eyes and terrifies Aunt Lydia. Dowd. Luke persuades June to board the train long enough to ensure her safety, before handing her over to the police for killing the man who tried to kill her wife. Speaking of June's lovers, things don't look so good for Nick, who finds himself on a break after beating Commander Lawrence at a party. His pregnant wife, Rose, shows up to let him know that she doesn't want to do anything with him. There's so much to turn on, so EW sat down with showrunner Bruce Miller via Zoom to guide us through what all this means for the show's progress. Weekly fun, so the episode begins with June being crushed by a Gilead sympathizer. How did you decide on this method of torture for our hero this time? Bruce Miller: well, it seems to be what people in America like to do to people they absolutely don't like. The new way to express your contempt is to get in the middle of a group of people protesting something you support. So he was very impressed by that. And I think it also made sense for the incompetent type of people who did something like, it's something from a distance, or with a gun, but it's even better not to have to get out of your car. As if he didn't exist. And to do something like that by Lizzie Moss and the whole team, I think, is an extraordinary directorial job to make it feel very realistic. I've never seen anything like this on TV. I thought, oh, that's what it's like to be crushed in the middle of the street. And I guess the truck is in the previous 3 or 4 chapters. At some point when the car is clearing its path passes very quickly. Yes, that's right. And then, the shot just before it happens, the full circle viewing shot, is very restless. That's just perfect. And I love the fact that it's slow. It makes him nervous, and you look very carefully, what's going on? What am I missing? What's the terrible thing I haven't seen yet? That's right, and a few minutes ago everything was so calm. That's what June says, don't ruin this. Yes. Elizabeth Moss's June Osborne in the season 5 finale of The Handmaid's Tale. Credit information, Hulu. True. And it seems that everyone's happiness is spoiled in this episode. Let's start with Janine. While watching him do is of course very satisfying, I can't imagine that what he does will end up well for him. June follows the playbook and once again pays for it, just as everyone else does because they follow the June playbook. And June pays a lot. Janine is channeling June in her, and look at her results. But being caught by the eyes can mean a lot. They've long wanted Janine to be useful and productive, and if she's not doing that at the Red Center, they'll take her elsewhere. And they are not very kind about it. But he could also be pulled out and shot in the middle of the street. So it's such a place. I wonder about their motivation in that moment. Was she motivated by learning that June in Canada was really no better than it was for Janine? I think what June realizes is that it motivates her, so they hate us. And that Naomi, as kind as she may be, hates me. The other part of it being like Janine, is, Naomi, don't you understand, you hate me too. That's how you treat someone you hate. You treat someone you hate by keeping them in your house, and raping them. You hate me. Why did this news come to you? But I think she's doing it very carefully, and somehow she thinks it's something Naomi needs to know because it was going to come out eventually. And probably better now. I think Janine is being mature in some ways. Right at this table, I'm disgusted with you. And with what happened to Janine, we see some of Aunt Lydia's love for her reappear. Will this perhaps be the last straw pushing Lydia against Gilead? No, I don't think it's that simple. I think there's a version of Gilead that Lydia thinks will work. And this version does not work. Now, when Lydia sat down and told you, Janine, or me what it was that she thought Gilead was wrong, we'd say, oh my god, yes. If he sat down and told you what's right, you'd run away like crazy. Does he want to topple Gilead? None of these people do. They don't want to go back to America as you know it, so in our country there is a headless woman thrown into a ditch, and that is not even national news. What kind of world is this for women? And women are raped every day. And so in their minds, why would you want to go back to that? So I think he's disappointed, but I think he still has the I know better arrogance that is unique to Lawrence. Lawrence said, well, that's not it. But there's a version of that, because I'm so smart, if I thought it would work, it would work. It's like when you write a story and think, oh, well, I know this isn't good yet, but I know it's a good idea. And no matter how many times you revisit, it won't work. And this is something that is inherently evil, because it is dehumanizing and cruel. The fact that he is only a misogynist and does not affect everyone is not a reason to think that this is not degrading, cruel, unsustainable, and immoral. Let's talk about Nick. Is his chess moves left, or has he finished off all the goodwill he had built up in Gilead in a snap? I don't think he wasted his good intentions. And as Nick says, his only strategy, I don't think he's playing chess, is earlier this season, saying, I'm trying to stay out of trouble. The important part of it is to try, and here you did not succeed. There will be no executions. Men don't have to follow any of these FING rules. I think the problem is that Nick is trying to stay out of trouble. And now she can't because it's June that gets her in trouble. I feel like this is the most romantic Nick/June season ever because they spend all their time trying to convince themselves that they don't have to be together. And in the end, they do not succeed at all, they fail completely. They don't even see each other in the last episode, and they're so in love that they can't think of anything else. The last thing June says to Tuello is, don't forget to tell Nick we're okay. I love all the romantic things Nick does. He comes to see her, gives her whole future and basically her devotion to her country, just to be able to see her when she's not even awake. So it sounds like a very romantic thing. He never plays chess. If he had been playing chess, he would have been in much better shape. Checkers are playing and everyone has a big heart symbol on their stones. This brings me to Serena, whom we never saw until the end of the episode. I was wondering where she was, and it was inevitable that Serena would be there when June boarded the train. I think this whole season has been a real testament to their relationship and how they've grown and changed. They are not friends at all. Serena hurt June in ways she can never forgive. And it has certainly hurt millions of people, and it doesn't regret it. So he regrets it a little bit, he regrets it all of a sudden. So I don't think they're friends, but they're familiar faces. So I think when you see each other, you understand that moment. It's nice to have an episode directed by your lead actor. This scene is written as they see each other. There are no details, all the emotional weight, all the emotional decisions are made by Elizabeth Moss and Yvonne Strahovski. So what I want to do is just lay some foundations. So have you built it so far? I'm saving a memory, but making it so satisfying requires the entire team to be formed at the same time. When did you know the season was going to end this way? I thought about Serena's story before thinking about where June's end would lead. And his story made a lot of sense, that he needed a place where he could mingle with the crowd, that he didn't have an identity or a toothbrush, or that he needed a place where anything wouldn't even blink. They're both doing exactly the same thing, hiding among a group of people to get out of Canada, so when you think about it, of course they're both there. Still, I didn't think about it until episode 7, which Rachel Schuckert wrote, where June was together when Serena gave birth. I started watching the diaries and felt like the season was moving towards a deeper understanding of June and Serena's relationship. I try to never start the next season at the end of the previous season. I never want to push myself too far and do it like this big thing that you just took back. What I try to do a lot on this show is like a group of grandchildren asking Grandma June what happened to her during the war,